Hello folks, this is AP the Weird One, and we are back with another Digimon Liberator theory video. If you haven't seen my last one, it's a bit irrelevant. But I wanted to make this because we got 2 weeks left before the manga and side story light novel comes out. And additionally, the starter decks, Vortex Guardian and Fable Waltz, we've seen all the cards, and I want to give an overview of what we got. And I was kind of inspired by when Carnix did his video for his Bancho Evolutionary line, kind of thinking maybe I want to do one for Digimon Liberator a little bit. So let's go over what we know so far from Vortex Guardian. So we have Yolkmon, Fluffymon, Terramon, Galemon, Grand Galemon, and then Zavagamon. So that's the main line. And the second line we got was Muchomon, Kakatorimon, Parrotmon, and Eaglemon. It's presumed this is the way because all of them were done in the style of Koki, so they all the same art style. We like this. They all kind of match a little bit because they all got orange except for Eaglemon, but that's because he's a robot bird cyborg. But he also had a little bit of red in him. And then we also got Biomon, and then we got another kind of a sort of a pseudo evolutionary line with Falcomon. Even though the art style is different from that of Kiwimon and Daramon, so maybe we'll get another bird-based Digimon to fill in. But Falcomon fits in because Falcomon doesn't fly. This particular version doesn't fly, so it kind of makes sense. As far as some megas that we could see, sometimes you can have decks with 3 megas. Griffomon is probably the most likely choice, semi-likely choice, given that Griffomon typically digivolves from them, but it's not a bird-type based Digimon. So it could be like an avian or something. Another possibility, and this is one Daramon's digivolved into, is of course Sarasmon. Maybe a possibility. It's most likely going to be in this medium form. We've only seen one Sarasmon, so it kind of makes sense for it to return. In my previous discussion, I mentioned how it's going to most likely go back to, it's going to be more magic based. We're going to get medieval Galemon, so I think that's where it's going to be going. When I said I thought Airdramon was going to be part of the equation because Airdramon would make a nice go for Muchomon to become Airdramon, and then eventually become in some kind of ultimate we would get the medieval Galemon, but that proved not to be the case. It's going to be probably a villain or someone else's team, which is just fine. I like this evolutionary line, but at some point I think Muchomon will have to go away and get replaced maybe. Maybe there'll be some sort of death. Anyway, moving on to Shumon, friends. So we got Shumon, Shushumon, Chandarellomon, and then Syndromon. Good evolutionary line. Oh, and I forgot to put the other one. But the secondary evolutionary line that we had was Junkmon to Biocatmon to Pandamon, and then of course it was Shinmonzemon. I knew it was going to be coming, but I thought it would have been something else. I was banking on maybe a new Digimon or Metamorphomon, given it looks like a toy, but whatever. I'm not completely upset. The artwork all looked really good, and so there's that. And additionally, we got both Ponchesmon, which makes sense, kind of like guards for Syndromon. Doggymon being a loyal companion. And then we also got Extyrannomon, which you could kind of consider her little dragon. In the future, in terms of some other rookies, we're probably going to see Shadow Toyagamon, it may be for this evolutionary line. We could also see Gazemon, but given this is puppet themed, most likely Shadow Toyagamon. I think it would kind of want to keep with Virus, maybe the other Toyagamons. Next up is going to be Raremon. This hinted at a Raremon, and even though it's not puppet, it could still kind of work. And then finally, for another Mega, we'll just get Puppetmon in general, because EX Tyrannomon was yellow and green, so it can make sense for a Puppetmon. We've gotten 2 so far, but they were more on play more versions, not so much, or in Dark Masters version as well. So it makes sense for maybe another Puppetmon that can work with something else, and even work with its previous Cherrymon line. Moving on, we're going to go with Zenith and the Ghostmon team member. Now, I do have another little theory which I discovered while doing this, but Zenith, for the most part, is going to have Venmon, Stanchmon, Destroymon, Galacticmon. I will talk about another form in a little bit, but this is what I saw so far. Now for Ghost Girl. Because I think Digimon is moving a lot more towards magic-based, I think we are going to maybe... I wanted to keep it a little bit magic-themed, so I thought of Soulmon. It's, got the magic hat, will work, although it's not going to become a magician base, but I thought that would kind of work. Then it would become Metal Phantomon, which has Digivolved from a Bakimon in the past, and it also has Digivolved from Soulmon, so it makes sense. And I didn't realize this at the time, but Reapermon could be an excellent choice. I mean, it is a cyborg, but you could make it as a ghost type, like a cyborg ghost or something. Do I think this is a likely candidate? Yes, but I do have another theory we're going to discuss later. But this would be, like, if they're going to reuse old Digimon, I think this would be the case. Next up, we have the Tsunarizamon girl. And the most obvious choice is Babungamon, Gogamon, and Blastmon. I did think at some point Tia Locamon, considering it's going to be in EX7, Game Radar posted this potential theory. And it's going to have like nature spirits. We would have another Eldoradimon, their Saber Leomon. And because Gatsumon is related to Tsunarizamon, like kind of like a cousin based, I think it is a possibility. However, I do not think that's the case because something's in the background. We'll have to discuss that. Is it possible for Tia Locamon? Maybe, and my theory that I have could also work. But I'm going to throw out the window for the time being and just say either it's Blastmon or my other theory. Next up is Sangomon. And this girl, I think, is a bit tricky. Sangomon has some champions, but nothing is super solid. The Bassibi Shellmon, considering it's both a mollusk. However, Shellmon doesn't have its own evolutionary line, per se. I did think because... I did think it was maybe Marine Angemon and possibly Cthulhumon, but the versions that we've seen don't have any synergy, and I'm going to cut that more out of the way because Sangomon in the booster packs and even his own dim card and the Vital Bracelet indicate more fishy base. So I'm thinking he'd go with Tobiomon and then become Marine Chimeramon and then finally Religismon. There is this fishy support troop thing they're doing, like deployment. So I think that could be perfectly acceptable. And my theory is that this little clownfish that's in its water, when it's ready to digivolve, Sangomon transfers his power over to it, although it's not discussed in the reference book. And of course, it would have its partner Swimmon. It could go with Tylomon just for another evolutionary line, and then go with Piranhamon, and then Metal Piranhamon. So kind of a fishy-based theme is what I was thinking. Not so much the mollusk, but more fishy-based. And then finally... Oh, I screwed some things up. But hold on. We'll get to it when I forgot to do something, but... Alright. Anyway. Yuki. We know she's going to be the Three Musketeers. The line that's presumed because of Lilithmon is Black Gatomon to Lady Devimon, and that's going to become that. In Digimon New Century, it was Witchmon, but in the Digimon card game, in EX6, Witchmon digivolved to Basemon and then Lilithmon. So that's where I think that's going to go. As far as the other three, the Digimon Vile Bracelet BE provided a perfect good example for both good Magnakidmon and Gundramon, and you could do having them be dual color. So we have Gundramon could be red purple. There's supposed to be his evolutionary line, but I screwed something up. So you can see Arrestormon, and then right behind it is Arrestormon Superior mode. This was in I think the Dragon one that had the Dracomon line, so that kind of makes sense. And then I was trying just pureness. There's also the Doromon dim card that had Black Agumon, Dark Tyrannomon, and then Gigadramon, and that would become Gundramon. That would be like a black purple. That made sense to me. However, I was also thinking, like, what if we had like a data and vaccine line, and that led me to believe Jazzamon, Jazzericmon, and then Jazzerichmon. However, then I thought, well, then Lavorvomon, Lavagrita, then its evolutionary line, that's where I was thinking going next. So there is that. So I would bank more on the Arrestormon rather than the Lavorvomon and Jazzamon line. However, while I was making this, I discovered something. In the background of each of these is a Digimon, or a potential Digimon, except for him. So this one, it looks like there's a kid, like crying kid, like Owen Dreadnought has lost his way. But as you can see on the back of the Tsunarizamon, there's some kind of creature, bird-like creature, demon, maybe Vulturemon digivolves into it. And here it's kind of hard to make out, but it looks like maybe some kind of ghost lion. Like this is the teeth, and then this is part of its mane. Something along those lines. Omekamon doesn't have that, but I did think maybe for stupid reason it could have Ometamon be there. So that I thought maybe like Omekamon becomes something, or deploys Meta B and Rikusho, and then becomes Ometamon. As for Sangamon, if we look here in the background, there looks to be some kind of like insect fish dragon. I guess you could see Imperial Dramon, but I don't know. I think there is going to be, that could be hinting at its mega. Like these three all hint they're megas. New Digimon, it would make kind of sense. So yeah, I just realized this. I mean, it's been here for a while, but I didn't realize the possibility. Maybe I thought they would be like enemies to these two, but maybe they're its actual megas. Now, what could be what's the new upgrade they're going to get later on the story? It is in my opinion that they're going to get some kind of, it be called divine, well, in Japan it's going to be called God mode, and then in America it would be called divine mode. So that's, I think it'd be like maybe by meeting conditions of like, say, like Vortex, you use Vortex a number of times, or the puppet version, I forget, Overclock. If you did that, if you use that ability a certain number of times, or had like something related to them, they could ascend to their divine mode or God mode. For him, I would think like he would have like a number of Venmon in his Galactimon's arsenal, and they would ascend to this version. I also thought like an alternate win condition, like if this Digimon is summoned, you have to kill it, and if you do, you win regardless of number of security. So that was what I was kind of thinking. They would get some kind of like divine God mode or divine mode. Like in Venmon would be obviously Galactimon, but it would be like it'd be Gaiamon, and it would be like a dark god. So that's, or a false god. That was sort of what I was thinking. Hopefully you guys would enjoy this video. My advice for you today is there's some new games coming out next week, and you should maybe want to save up, and maybe also save up for the Booster Pack 16, which is coming out in America, or save for EX7, which is coming out in Japan. Hopefully you guys have a wonderful Monday. Tuesday we will resume Cyber Sleuth Hacker's Memory. I'm all ready to go. I just need to play the game and record my session. So take care. See you guys next time.